My wife told me she was tired of my job. She said it for the 100th time, maybe the 1,000th. She stood in the kitchen, sunlight hitting her hair just right, making her look like an angel, a beautiful, tired angel. She held a half-eaten apple, and her voice was a low hum, but every word felt like a physical blow. I just miss you, Mark. I miss us. This job, it's eating you alive. It's eating us alive. I nodded, pretending to be listening, pretending this was just another Tuesday evening, just another conversation we'd had 1,000,000 times before. My hand was shaking slightly as I reached for my coffee mug. Cold now. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I'd felt it for the last 5 minutes. A continuous, urgent buzzing that had been threatening to derail this perfectly normal, perfectly miserable moment. She continued. Remember when we used to go to the lake on weekends? Remember when you actually came home for dinner before 9 p.m.? I feel like I am living with a ghost, a very rich ghost, judging by the bills we pay, but still, a ghost. A very rich ghost. The words echoed in my head, mocking me, chilling me. She had no idea how accurate she was, or how chillingly accurate she was about to become. The phone buzzed again relentlessly. I finally pulled it out, trying to be discreet. One glance at the screen. My heart seized. It was the email, the one I'd been waiting for, hoping for, praying for 7 long, grueling years. The subject line was short. Just 3 words. Deal closed. Congratulations. Underneath, in smaller print, the numbers. A string of zeros that made my vision swim. My startup. The crazy, impossible idea that everyone, including my closest friends, had told me was a fool's errand. The one that had consumed my every waking moment, and most of my sleeping ones too. The one that had made me miss anniversaries, birthdays, lazy Sundays, and countless quiet dinners with a woman standing right in front of me, lamenting my absence. It wasn't just millions, it was hundreds of millions. Net. After taxes, after investors, after everyone got their cut, my share, my life's work. I looked up at her, really looked at her. Her eyes, usually so bright, were shadowed with fatigue and a deep sadness I'd put there. Her shoulders, usually so strong, seemed slumped under an invisible weight. The weight of my ambition, the weight of my secret. "Mark?" she prompted, seeing my frozen expression, my eyes glued to the phone. "Is everything okay? Are you even listening to me?" "I am listening, Sarah," I said, my voice hoarse, like I'd just woken up from a dream, or maybe just walked into one, or a nightmare. "I am listening very carefully." She frowned, sensing the shift in my tone, the sudden stillness in my usually restless hands. "What is it?" "Bad news." I stared at the phone again, then at her. The world spun on its axis. 7 years. 7 years of just a little longer, just one more push. I promise it'll be worth. 7 years of her patient, then worried, then resentful, and finally resigned complaints. 7 years of me building an empire brick by agonizing brick, in the dark, without ever telling her the true scale of what I was doing. It wasn't just a regular job, it was my life. It was a gamble. A desperate, all-consuming gamble, and I just hit the jackpot. The biggest jackpot imaginable. "No, Sarah," I whispered, the words catching in my throat. "It's not bad news. It's the opposite of bad news. It's done, all of it." She blinked. "What's done, your project? Did it fail? Did they fire you?" Her voice was laced with a strange mix of fear and a hint of relief, as if even failure would be better than this endless limbo. I closed my eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath, trying to calm the earthquake inside my chest. This was it. The moment of truth. The moment I became a liar and a multi-millionaire, all at once to the woman I loved more than anything. No, honey, it didn't fail. They didn't fire me. My voice was still thin, barely audible. They bought us, the whole company, they bought it out. For a lot of money. Her brow furrowed deeper. A lot of money? Like enough for a new car? Enough to pay off the mortgage? She chuckled, a short, humorless sound. God, imagine that. What are you talking about, Ma? I held up the phone, angling the screen so she could see the email, the numbers. Her eyes widened, scanning the text, then darting to the colossal figure. Her face, which had been so expressive just moments before, went utterly blank. The half-eaten apple slipped from her hand and thudded softly onto the kitchen floor. It rolled once, then came to a stop against the leg of the counter. Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. The kind of silence that screams louder than any shout. Kind of silence that means a life just ended, and another, entirely unknown one, began. She looked at the screen, then back at me. Her mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes were still wide, but now they held a new expression. Not surprise, not joy, not even anger yet. Just a profound, devastating disbelief. As if she were looking at a stranger. As if the man she married had just dissolved into thin air, and in his place stood someone she did not know. Someone who held a secret so vast it swallowed their entire shared history. What is this? She finally managed to whisper, her voice barely a breath. Mark, what have you done? My stomach clenched. I told you it would be worth it, Sarah. I always said it. She took a step back, bumping into the kitchen island. Her gaze was fixed on me, but it felt like it was piercing through me, seeing every lie of omission, every late night, every excuse. The mask I'd worn for 7 years had just shattered. And beneath it, I wasn't sure what she would find. Worth it, she repeated, the word dripping with an icy venom I'd never heard from her before. You think this number makes up for all of it? For me, for us. What did you sacrifice, Mark? What did we sacrifice for this, and why, Mark? Why didn't you tell me? Any of it. And there it was, the first shard of heartbreak. Not mine, not yet, but hers. Her beautiful, tired face crumbled. And for the first time, I realized the full, terrifying cost of my ambition. I had made us multi-millionaires. And in doing so, I might have just broken my wife. I said, I am retiring, Sarah. Effective immediately. I am done. We're rich. We never have to worry about money again. You wanted me to quit my job? I quit. Forever. The words hung in the air, meant to be a declaration of freedom. A triumphant announcement. But in the cold, hard reality of the kitchen, surrounded by the echoes of her recent complaints, they sounded hollow, empty. They sounded like the final nail in the coffin of the life we'd built. The simple life she had cherished. The simple life I had secretly dismantled. I wanted to hug her, to tell her it would be okay. But she looked like she would shatter if I touched. The distance between us was suddenly vast, unbridgeable, a chasm carved by numbers and secrets. This wasn't how I imagined it. A silent witness to the beginning of the end, or perhaps the end of the beginning. The silence in the kitchen stretched, thick and suffocating. Sarah stood frozen, her eyes still wide, fixed on me with an intensity that made me want to shrink away. The apple lay forgotten on the tiled floor, a stark symbol of the normal life that had just been shattered. What is this, Mark? She finally managed, her voice a brittle whisper. Is this a joke? Are you playing some kind of sick prank on me? I shook my head slowly, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on me. No, Sarah, no joke. It's real. Every dollar, every zero. She looked at the phone again. and back at me. Her gaze was filled with a mix of disbelief, hurt, and a simmering rage that hadn't yet found its full voice. 7 years, Mark. 7 years you worked yourself to death. 7 years I barely saw you. 7 years of you telling me it's just a busy period, or this project is crucial, or we need to make ends meet. 7 years of me worrying about your health, about our marriage, about you just disappearing into that office. And all this time, you were building a fortune. Without a single word to me, I wanted to surprise you. I said, the excuse sounding pathetic even to my own ears. I wanted it to be real. I didn't want to get your hopes up if it didn't work out. It was such a long shot, Sarah. So many startups fail. I couldn't bear to tell you about something so big, and then have it all come crashing down. So you just didn't tell me anything, she retorted, her voice rising now, losing its fragile quality. You let me think we were just scrapping by? You let me worry about paying the bills? About if we could afford to fix the roof? You let me feel like a neglected wife while you were secretly building an empire. What kind of marriage is that, Mark? What kind of partner are you? Her words stung, each one a direct hit, because she was right. I had done all those things. But in my head, I'd been doing it for her, for us. I did it for us, Sarah. I pleaded, stepping closer, wanting to bridge the gap. I saw a chance to change everything, to give us a life free of worries, to give you everything you ever dreamed of. I remembered how you always talked about traveling the world, about having a small garden, about not having to work if you didn't want to. I wanted to make that possible. And you thought lying to me was the way to do that? She scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping her lips. You thought sacrificing our present, our happiness, our connection, was a fair price for some distant, uncertain future fortune. A fortune I knew nothing about. Nuck, I don't want a fortune if it means I have to lose you to get it. I want you. I want the man who used to tell me everything, who shared his dreams, even the crazy ones. The man who wasn't afraid to fail, because he knew I'd be there to catch him. Tears welled in her eyes, not soft, gentle tears, but hot, angry ones. Do you know how many nights I cried myself to sleep, wondering if you still loved me? Wondering if you even remembered what our life was like before you became obsessed with this whatever it is. I just wanted you to be present. I just wanted you to be home. I didn't ask for millions, Mark. I just asked for your time. My throat tight. I know, and I am sorry. I am so sorry. I messed up. I know I did. I let it consume me. But I had to see it through. It was like a fever, a compulsion. Every step, every milestone, I kept thinking just a little further. Just one more breakthrough, and then I'll tell her. Then I'll make it all right. But you never did, she pointed out, her voice cracked. You never told me. Not until it was over. Not until you had the proof in your hands. And now what? You think you can just wave this magical money wand and everything goes back to normal? You think this fixes anything? I stood there helpless, the email with the life-changing numbers still clutched in my hand. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I am here now. I quit. I retired. Just like you wanted. I am done with it. I am here, Sarah, for good. We have all the time in the world now. We can do anything. We can fix this. Her eyes scanned my face, searching for something. Maybe a sign of the man she remembered. You say that, but how do I believe you? How do I trust you after this? After you kept something so fundamental, so monumental, from me for so long. The raw pain in her voice was unbearable. It felt like a knife twisting in my gut. I had envisioned this moment 1,000 times. I'd imagined her screaming with joy, hugging me, crying happy tears. I'd imagined us celebrating, planning our future, finally free. I had never, not once, imagined this. This heartbroken silence. This devastating accusation. "I didn't mean to hurt you," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I swear. I thought I was doing the right thing, the hard thing, the thing that would secure our future." "Our future was secure with us," she retorted, gesturing wildly between us. "Our future was about being together, not about numbers in a bank account. We had a good life, Mark. A simple life maybe, but it was ours. It was built on honesty, on trust, on us being a team. And you just shattered it." She turned away from me, walking to the window, her back rigid. The sunlight that had once illuminated her hair so beautifully now seemed to cast her in shadow. She stared out, unseeing, at the quiet street. "I don't know what to do with this, Mark," she said, her voice laced with a profound weariness. "I don't know who you are anymore. And I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way again." My stomach dropped. This wasn't just about money or trust, or even my working hours. This was about identity, about who she thought I was and who I had become. I had wanted to give her the world. Instead, I had given her a world of lies, and it felt like that was a price too high, even for millions. Quiet accusation hung in the air, heavier than any physical burden. My heart, which had been soaring with the news of my triumph, now felt like a lead weight, sinking into an abyss of regret. I had won the financial lottery, but it felt like I had lost everything else in the process. The silence that followed Sarah's confession was thick, an almost tangible thing. She stood at the window, a statue of betrayal and exhaustion. I stood in the middle of the kitchen, the email still burning bright on my phone screen, a testament to my success and my failure. "Sarah," I started, my voice cracking. "Please let me explain. Let me show you. It's real. This isn't a trick. We're set for life." She turned slowly, her eyes red-rimmed but dry. "I don't doubt the money is real, Mark. That's the problem. I don't doubt that at all. What I doubt is everything else. Us, our marriage. What did you think would happen? That you'd just show up one day, flash a bank statement, and everything would be sunshine and rainbows." "I don't know what I thought," I admitted, my shoulders slumping. "I thought you'd be happy, relieved. I thought we could finally relax, do all the things we talked about doing." "We talked about doing them together, Mark," she countered, her voice sharp. "We talked about them when we were building our lives, dreaming small dreams, celebrating small victories. Not when you were off secretly building a fortune I knew nothing about. What else have you hidden from me? What other massive secrets are lurking around?" Her skepticism wasn't just about the money. It was about the fundamental nature of our relationship. The trust that had formed its bedrock seemed to have crumbled. "Nothing," I said quickly. "T here is nothing else. This was it. This project. This company. It was my everything for so long, and I was so afraid of it failing, so afraid of disappointing you, of putting all that hope on your shoulders. So you put all the burden on mine instead?" she asked, a bitter smile touching her lips. "The burden of worrying, of waiting, of feeling like I wasn't enough for you to share your biggest dream with." I had no answer for that. She was right. "What now?" she asked, stepping away from the window, her gaze sweeping over the kitchen, then back to me, as if seeing our home and me in a completely new, alien light. "You said you are retiring. Just like that? You are done? No notice? No handover? What about all those people who work for you? What about your investors?" "They know," I said. "The deal included a transition period, but my part is essentially over. The acquirer takes over. It's done. My shares are liquidated. The money is in an escrow account ready to transfer. We're free, Sarah. Truly free. She ran a hand through her hair, a gesture of deep perplexity. Free? I feel more trapped than ever. Trapped by this giant secret, by this number. And trapped by the idea that the man I married chose to walk this path alone, never once thinking to bring me into his confidence. I tried to reach for her hand, but she recoiled slightly. Sarah, please. Let's just talk. We can figure this out. This changes everything, yes, but it doesn't have to break us. Doesn't it? She challenged. I don't know, Mark. I honestly don't know. For years I begged you for more time, more presence. I asked for you, not your money. And now you are offering me your time, bought with a secret fortune. It feels tainted, like a bribe. The word hung in the air, stinging, a bribe. That wasn't how I saw it. I saw it as the ultimate gift, the culmination of years of sacrifice. But in her eyes it was a debt I could never repay. Later that evening, after a tense, silent dinner where neither of us touched our food, she went to bed early. I stayed up, scrolling through the news on my phone. The acquisition was already being reported. Financial journals, tech blogs, even mainstream news outlets. My company's name, my name, the staggering acquisition figure. It was all there, undeniable. I wanted to share it with her, to show her the headlines, to prove to her that this wasn't some fever dream. But what would be the point? She believed the money was real. It was the cost of that money, the way it was acquired, that was tearing us apart. I called my best friend Alex, just to hear a familiar voice. He'd known about the startup, of course, but even he didn't know the true scale of the acquisition until I told him moments before the official announcement. Dude, Alex's voice boomed through the phone, full of incredulous joy. I just saw the news. Mark, you actually did it. I can't believe it. We need to celebrate. This is insane. You are a legend. Thanks, Alex, I mumbled, the words feeling hollow. Listen, I just told Sarah. A pause. Alex was perceptive. Oh, how'd she take it? Not great, I admitted. She's really mad about me not telling her, about the years of working so much. She says she feels betrayed. Alex sighed. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you were pretty locked down on this thing. We all joked about you being a hermit. But multi-millionaire, dude, that's a game changer. She'll come around. Once she sees what this means for you two, for your lives. No more stress, no more bills. Freedom. She'll get. I hope so, Alex, I said, looking at the closed bedroom door. I really hope so. But a cold knot of dread tightened in my stomach. Alex saw the financial freedom. He didn't see the emotional cost. He didn't see the look in Sarah's eyes, the way she had pulled away from my touch, the way she had dismissed the fortune as a bribe. The next morning, the house was filled with a brittle quiet. Sarah moved through the rooms like a stranger, avoiding my gaze. When the doorbell rang, it was our neighbor, Maria, holding a newspaper. Her eyes were wide, glittering with excitement. Mark, Sarah, oh my God, is this true? She practically shrieked, pointing at the front page. There it was. A picture of my company's logo and a beaming photo of me taken years ago, looking much younger and less haunted. The headline screamed about the multi-billion-dollar acquisition. My name was prominently featured. Maria turned to Sarah, her face beaming. Sarah, I can't believe it. Your husband, a multi-millionaire. This is incredible. You are rich. You are set for life. What are you going to do? Buy a yacht? A private jet? You must be so thrilled. Sarah forced a smile, a thin, painful line on her face. She glanced at me, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. Yes, Maria. It's quite something. We're still processing it. Her voice was flat, devoid of any genuine excitement. Maria, caught up in her own thrill, didn't seem to notice. Well, I just had to come over and congratulate you both. This is the most exciting thing to happen on our street in years. As Maria finally left, still chattering with excitement, Sarah turned to me, her fake smile dissolving into a look of profound weariness. See, Mark? This is it. This is our life now. Everyone else is celebrating your success, but they have no idea what it cost. And they never will. I wanted to tell her that I knew. That I felt it too. The immense crushing weight of success. Terrifying realization that while I had gained everything I had worked for, I might have lost the one thing that truly mattered. And the devastating truth was, I had no idea how to get it back. The money was real, but so was the distance between us. And that was the only thing that felt real right now. The next few days were a blur of awkward silences, forced politeness, and the constant hum of the outside world acknowledging my newfound wealth. The news was everywhere. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Lawyers, financial advisors, long-lost relatives I didn't even know I had. Each call, each message, each headline was a blunt reminder of the impossible reality I now inhabited. And each one served to deepen the chasm between Sarah and me. I tried to show her the bank statements, the transfer confirmation. I thought seeing the raw, undeniable proof would somehow soften her, make her understand. She barely glanced at them. I told you, Mark, she said, her voice flat. I believe the money is real. I just don't know what it means for us. It means we're free, Sarah, I insisted, desperate to make her see it. We can travel. We can buy that cabin you always wanted in the mountains. You never have to work again if you don't want to. You can pursue your painting, your gardening, whatever you want. She looked at me, a sad, knowing look in her eyes. I wanted to pursue those things with you, Mark. Not with your money. Not with a stranger who kept his whole life secret from me for 7 years. The accusation hung in the air, a constant companion. I started trying to act like a retired man. I woke up later. I made her coffee. I offered to help with chores around the house. Things I hadn't done consistently in years. But every gesture felt heavy, forced. It felt like I was trying to buy back her affection, not earn it. One afternoon I found her in the living room, staring out the window. She had a framed photo in her hand. It was an old picture of us from before the startup, before the relentless grind. We were younger, carefree, laughing as we hiked up a mountain. My arm was around her, her head resting on my shoulder. We looked so happy, so connected. We used to do this, she murmured, tracing my face in the photo with her thumb. We used to have fun. We used to dream together. We can still do those things, I said, my voice softer than I intended. We can go anywhere now, Sarah. Climb any mountain. We have the time. We have the means. She looked up at me, her eyes clouded with tears. But do we have us? That's what I keep asking myself, Mark. Do we still have the us that climbed that mountain? Or did he get lost somewhere on your way to becoming a multi-millionaire? Her words were a punch to the gut. I had been so focused on the future, on the financial security I believed would bring us happiness, that I had neglected the present, neglected her. And now the future was here, and it felt emptier than I had ever imagined. Days turned into a week. The initial shock slowly faded, replaced by a quiet, simmering tension. Sarah didn't scream or rage anymore. She was just distant. Present in body, but absent in spirit. It was worse than the arguments. At least arguments meant there was still something to fight for, something to engage with. This quiet withdrawal felt like surrender. One morning she came down to breakfast holding a newspaper. This time it wasn't the front page. It was the business section. A detailed article about my company, its innovative technology, and the massive valuation. It even included quotes from industry experts praising my vision and tenacity. She laid it on the table in front of me. "I read it," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "They're calling you a genius, a visionary, a titan of industry." I braced myself, waiting for the cutting remark. Instead, she just looked at me, a strange mix of emotions swirling in her eyes. Resentment, yes, but also a flicker of awe, maybe even pride, buried deep beneath layers of hurt. "You really built something incredible, didn't you?" she said, her voice softer than it had been in days. "All those late nights, all those missing meals, all that silence from you. It wasn't for nothing, it was for this." She gestured at the article. It wasn't an apology, but it was a recognition. A small, fragile crack in the wall she had built between us. "Yes," I said, cautiously. "It was. I believed in it." With every fiber of my being, she sat down opposite me slowly, carefully. "And you really think it's over? You were just done with it? Just like that?" "Yes," I confirmed, leaning forward. "Completely. I have no responsibilities to the new owners. My contract is fulfilled. My shares are sold. I am just Mark. Your husband again. The one who just got incredibly stupidly rich." She offered a faint, fleeting smile. "Stupidly rich, yes. Still just Mark?" "I don't know. I am not so sure." But the smile was something. It was a start. It meant she was beginning to process the reality of the money, not just the betrayal. It meant the impossible might be possible. Maybe we could salvage this. Maybe the money, which had been a wedge, could somehow become a bridge. I held on to that fragile hope, a tiny ember in the cold, vast emptiness of our new, wealthy reality. The silence was still there, but now, maybe, it held a tiny hint of possibility, a whisper of a shared future. The faint smile Sarah gave me that morning was the first genuine one I'd seen in a week. It was a tiny crack in her emotional armor, but it was enough to make me believe there was still a chance. I seized it. "What do you want to do today?" I asked, my voice light, trying to sound like the carefree man I used to be. "Anything. Anywhere. We have all the time in the world, remember?" She looked surprised. Then a hint of something else crossed her face. Curiosity. "Anything? Really?" "Anything," I repeated, a surge of optimism washing over me. No meetings, no deadlines, no clients, just us. "What's the first thing you want to do as a multi-millionaire who's retired?" She thought for a moment, and for the first time in days, the tension in her shoulders seemed to ease. "You know what? I want to go to that little antique shop we used to love, the one way out in the countryside. We haven't been there in years. And then I want to get ice cream. From that tiny place with the homemade waffle cones." It was such a simple request. So ordinary. Not a private jet, not a diamond necklace, not a mansion. Just an antique shop and ice cream. And it filled me with more relief than any amount of money ever could. "Done," I said, a genuine smile finally reaching my eyes. "Let's go right now." The drive was still a little quiet, but it wasn't the suffocating silence of betrayal. It was more thoughtful, hesitant. She pointed out landmarks we used to talk about, shared small memories. I listened, truly listened, for the first time in years. At the antique shop, she wandered through the dusty aisles, her eyes bright with a spark I hadn't seen. She picked up a delicate porcelain doll, then a vintage record player. "Remember that old record player we wanted to buy? Back when we first moved in? We couldn't afford it then. We can afford it now," I said softly. "Anything you want, Sarah. Anything at all." She looked at me, and for a moment, a genuine warmth softened her gaze. It's not about the money, Mark. It's about the feeling, the memory. She put the record player back. Maybe we don't need it. The memory is enough. I swallowed. She was teaching me a lesson, gently, without a word. Money didn't buy happiness or memories or connection. But it could, perhaps, buy the space to rediscover those things. We found a chipped teapot that she loved, a small, unassuming thing. It reminds me of my grandmother's kitchen, she said, her eyes distant with nostalgia. I'd bought it for her, and she clutched it like it was the most precious thing in the world, more precious than the millions in my bank account. Then came the ice cream. We sat on a park bench, the sun warm on our faces, licking our cones like two kids. It was simple. It was mundane. It was perfect. For the first time since the revelation, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this wasn't broken beyond repair. Maybe we could actually find our way back. This is nice, she said, licking a drip of chocolate from her thumb. Just nice. It is, I agreed, savoring the moment. More than nice. It's exactly what I wanted, to be here, with you. Doing nothing important, just being. She looked at me, her eyes searched. You really mean that, don't you? You are not going to jump back into another crazy project? Another secret company? Never again, I vowed, meeting her gaze. I swear it, Sarah. My working days are over. For good. All I want now is to be here, with you. For real this time. The words felt true, profound. I realized then, with a crushing certainty, that the ambition that had driven me for so long had died the moment I saw the look on her face when I revealed the secret. The money was just a byproduct. True prize, the one I had almost lost, was sitting right beside me. But the habit of a lifetime doesn't just disappear. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows, I felt a familiar restlessness stir within me. A need to do something. To be productive. I glanced at my watch, then mentally chastised myself. There were no deadlines. No meetings. No next steps. Just the quiet evening stretching out. Sarah seemed to sense it. She watched me, a faint frown creasing her brow. You know, she said, her voice gentle, it's going to take some getting used to, isn't it? For both of us. You've been so driven for so long. It's like you are a race car without a track. I chuckled, a humorless sound. Something like that. I guess I just don't know what to do with all this nothing. You could spend time with me, she suggested, her voice still gentle, but with a hint of something deeper. A challenge. You could learn to just be again, like we used to be. Her words were kind, but they were also a stark reminder. The habit of work was ingrained. The habit of us had to be relearned. And looking at her, seeing the lingering shadow of hurt in her eyes, I knew it wouldn't be easy. This newfound freedom was intoxicating, but also terrifying. It meant confronting the vast emptiness that my work had filled, and finding something, or someone, to fill it with again. And that someone had to be her. But was she still willing to let me? That was the real question. The millions meant nothing if I couldn't answer that one. The initial glow of our antique shop and ice cream outing faded quickly. While Sarah was more open, the underlying tension remained. We tried to fill our days. We went for long walks, something we hadn't done since we were first dating. We cooked meals together, attempting recipes from old cookbooks. I even tried my hand at gardening, much to Sarah's amusement. But the cracks started to show. I was restless. My phone was still buzzing with messages from old colleagues, from eager new ventures, wanting my consultancy, polite code for wanting my money and my reputation. It was hard to resist the pull. Constant drive that had fueled me for years didn't just vanish. I'd find myself pacing the house, checking my non-existent calendar, feeling a strange anxiety from the lack of a pressing task. "Mark, what are you doing?" Sarah would ask, finding me staring blankly at my laptop, even though it was turned off. "Nothing," I'd reply, feeling foolish. "Just thinking." "About what?" she'd press, and I never had a good answer. Thinking about what I should be doing. Thinking about the adrenaline rush of a big deal, the satisfaction of a problem solved. It was a dark secret I couldn't share. Retirement, for me, felt a little like a slow death. Sarah, on the other hand, seemed to be thriving in the initial phase of my absence. She rediscovered her painting, setting up an easel in the sunroom. She spent hours in the garden, tending to her roses. She seemed to blossom, to relax, in a way she hadn't in years. And sometimes watching her, a strange pang of envy would hit me. She had her passions, her quiet joys. I had millions, and an empty calendar. One evening we were watching a movie. It was one of our old favorites, a rom-com we used to quote. But I couldn't focus. My mind was racing, replaying old conversations with investors, imagining new business strategies. I checked my phone just to glance at the time. But the screen lit up with a news alert. A competitor of my former company had just announced a new funding round. "Mark," Sarah said, her voice flat, "are you even watching this?" I looked up, startled. "Oh yeah, of course, great scene." I forced a smile. She sighed. "No, you are not. You are somewhere else. You always are. Even now. Even when you are supposedly retired." I was just thinking about work. She finished for me, her eyes hard. "Thinking about money. Thinking about what you could be doing instead of being here with me." "That's not fair," I protested. "I am trying, I really am." "Are you?" she challenged. "Or are you just waiting for the next big thing to pull you away? You say you are done, but you act like you are just biding your time. Like this, us is just something to fill the hours until the next obsession takes hold." Her words were like ice water, chilling me to the bone. "That's not true, Sarah. I am here. I chose this. For us." "Did you?" she asked, her voice quiet but piercing. "Or did you just get so much money that even you, the workaholic, realized there was literally no point in continuing? Did you choose me, Mark? Or did you just run out of reasons to stay away?" The implications stung. Had I really only retired because there was no more money to be made, no higher mountain to climb? Was my presence now just an obligation, a consequence of my financial success, rather than a genuine desire to be with her? The question haunted me. "I don't know what to do, Sarah," I admitted. My voice raw. "I don't know how to just stop. I've been on a treadmill for so long, I don't know how to get off without falling flat on my face." She looked at me, a flicker of something that might have been pity in her eyes. "Maybe that's the problem, Mark. Maybe you never learned how to just be. Maybe you always needed a goal, a project, $1 million finish line to feel alive. And in that moment, something shifted. It wasn't just about the secret or the money. It was about who I had become. My identity had become so intertwined with my work, with my ambition, that without it, I felt lost. And Sarah, the woman who had loved me through it all, was now seeing the hollow shell I had become. The realization hit me like a physical blow. I had sacrificed not just our time, but a part of myself. Part that knew how to simply exist, how to find joy in the mundane, how to be present without a purpose. And that, more than any argument, felt truly heartbreaking. The millions had bought me freedom, but they had also exposed a profound emptiness I didn't know how to fill. And I was afraid Sarah was seeing it too clearly. The tension in the house grew like a suffocating fog. Sarah's quiet observation about my restlessness had opened a wound, and it festered. Every attempt I made to be present, to engage, felt hollow. I was constantly aware of her watching me, assessing me, silently judging my efforts. One evening, after another long, aimless day, Sarah found me in my home office. The room was mostly empty now, cleared of the whiteboards and late-night snacks that had once defined my existence. I was just sitting there staring at the blank wall, feeling the weight of my own uselessness. "Mark," she said, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife. "We need to talk. Really talk. Not just about the money or your work or my complaints. About us." I turned, my heart sinking. I knew this was coming. "Okay," I managed, my voice raspy. "I am here. I am listening." She walked over to the old dusty bookshelf, tracing a finger over the spines of books we used to read together. "Do you remember when we first met? I loved how ambitious you were, but it wasn't about money then. It was about ideas, about making a difference. You talked about building something great, not just something profitable." "It was about both," I mumbled, "making a difference and being able to live comfortably." "Comfortably, yes," she scoffed, turning to face me, her eyes blazing with a suppressed fury. "Not multi-millionaire comfortably, Mark. We were happy. We were enough. We had dreams that didn't cost millions. We had dreams that just cost time. And you took that time, all of it." "I was trying to build a better life for us," I pleaded, feeling defensive. "I wanted to provide, to ensure we never had to struggle." "We struggled when you weren't here, Mark," she burst out, her voice rising now, raw with emotion. "We struggled when I was lonely, when I was scared, when I didn't know who you were becoming. Do you know how many times I celebrated my birthday alone? How many anniversaries you missed because of an urgent meeting? How many nights I ate dinner by myself and then cleaned up your cold plate hours later?" Her voice cracked, tears finally overflowing and streaming down her face. "I resented you, Mark. I resented your work, your obsession, the way it consumed you. And I resented myself for letting it happen, for staying, for hoping you'd finally wake up." My stomach churned. The accusations, though painful, were justified. "I know, and I am so sorry. I truly am." "Sorry doesn't fix it," she cried, throwing her hands up in exasperation. "Sorry doesn't give me back those years. Sorry doesn't erase the feeling that I was second place to a spreadsheet. You say you wanted to surprise me, but it feels like you dismissed me. Like I wasn't strong enough to handle the truth, or smart enough to understand your vision. No, Sarah, it wasn't like that." "Wasn't it?" she challenged, her voice filled with a desperate pain. "Because a real partner, a real team, would have shared that burden. They would have talked about the risks, the dreams, the fears. They wouldn't have kept me in the dark, pretending it was just a regular job while they were betting our entire future on a single, massive gamble. You gambled with our life, Mark. And you didn't even tell me you were playing." Her words hit me with the force of a tidal wave, washing away all my justifications, all my excuses. She was right. I had been arrogant. I had been selfish. I had thought I knew best, that I was protecting her by carrying the burden alone. But in doing so, I had alienated her, dismissed her, and wounded her in a way that money could never heal. I was afraid, I confessed, my voice barely a whisper, the raw truth finally escaping me. I was terrified of failing, of being a disappointment. of telling you about this huge dream and then watching it all crumble. I thought I was protecting you from that pain, from that uncertainty. She looked at me, her tears still flowing, but a new expression slowly replacing the anger. Sadness. Profound, aching sadness. And in doing so, you inflicted a different kind of pain, didn't you? A deeper, more insidious pain. The pain of feeling irrelevant, unimportant, untrusted. The room was silent again, save for her ragged breathing. I finally saw it, truly saw it. It wasn't about the money. It was never about the money. It was about the 7 years of emotional distance, of unspoken fears, of unshared burdens. It was about the man I had become in pursuit of a dream, and the woman I had left behind in the process. I don't know if I can get past this, Mark, she said, her voice trembling. I don't know if I can ever trust you fully again, or if I even know who you are anymore, or who I am after all this. My heart shattered. I had climbed the highest mountain, achieved the impossible, acquired unimaginable wealth, and in doing so, I had lost the most precious thing I owned, the woman I loved, standing before me broken by my actions. The irony was brutal, agonizing. I had wanted to give her a life of ease, and instead, I had burdened her with a heartbreak so profound, I feared it might be irreparable. The silence that followed was the sound of a dream dying, not a dream of money, but a dream of us. The raw honesty of our confrontation left us both emotionally drained. Sarah retreated to her painting studio, and I stayed in the empty office, staring at the wall, the silence around me heavier than any financial burden I'd ever known. Her words, "I don't know if I can ever trust you fully again," echoed in my mind a devastating truth. Days turned into a week of walking on eggshells. We spoke, but cautiously, the deep hurt still simmering beneath every polite exchange. I realized that my wealth was irrelevant here. No amount of money could buy back trust or erase years of neglect. This was about something far more fundamental. One afternoon, Sarah found me in the kitchen, making a cup of tea. She watched me for a moment, then spoke, her voice quieter than it had been. "I've been thinking," she said. My heart tightened. "About what?" "About us," she replied. "About what we were and what we are now. This isn't working, Mark. We're living in the same house, but we're miles apart." "I know," I admitted. "I am trying, Sarah. I am really trying to be here, to be present, to make up for lost time." "And I know you are," she said, surprising me with the acknowledgement. "But you don't know how to do it. You are like a caged tiger. And I am still angry and scared. This money, it doesn't feel like freedom to me. It feels like a constant reminder of how much I lost." "What do you mean?" I asked, confused. "I lost my partner," she explained, her voice tinged with sadness. "I lost the future we were building together, brick by brick, knowing every step of the way. I lost the simple joy of working towards something together. And I lost the feeling that my opinion, my feelings, mattered enough for you to share your biggest life decision with me." She continued, "I keep thinking about the early days. Remember our first apartment? Tiny, barely any furniture, but we were so happy. We used to stay up late, dreaming about everything. A slightly bigger apartment, a comfortable car, a vacation to the beach. Small, attainable dreams, and we dreamed them together." A pang of nostalgia hit me. I remembered those nights, her hand in mine, eyes bright with shared aspiration. I had traded those small, shared dreams for a single, colossal one, pursued in isolation. "I miss that, Mark," she confessed, her voice thick with emotion. "I miss us being a team. I miss being your confidant. I miss knowing everything. I missed you too, I whispered, the truth aching in my chest. More than you know. Every late night, every missed call, I told myself it was for us, that it would be worth it, that I'd make it up to you. But you can't make up for lost time, she said softly. You can't buy back trust. And you can't force us to be the same people we were before this explosion of wealth. She walked to the counter and picked up the chipped teapot, the one she'd loved from the antique store. This teapot, she began, turning it in her hands. Beautiful, even with the chip. It tells a story. It has history. Our life, it feels like it just got a huge gaping hole torn in it. And I don't know if we can mend it, or if we even should try to mend it back to what it was. Maybe we have to build something entirely new. How? I asked, feeling helpless. How do we build something new when the foundation is so shaky? She looked at me, a flicker of something new in her eyes. Not anger, not just sadness. Hope? Or maybe just desperation. I don't know. Maybe we need help. Professional help. Someone to help us untangle this mess. Someone to help you understand what you lost. And me to understand how to forgive it. Or if I even can. My heart leaped, then sank. Therapy. The word hung in the air. It felt like admitting defeat, like acknowledging our marriage was truly broken. But it also felt like the only option left. Okay, I said without hesitation. Yes, whatever it takes. I'll do anything, Sarah. Anything to try and get us back. To build something new together. A faint, almost imperceptible nod from her. I'll look into it. But Mark, she warned, her voice firm, this isn't just about me forgiving you. It's about you forgiving yourself. And it's about you finding out who Mark is, now that he doesn't have a multi-million-dollar company to define him. Because that's the man I need to fall in love with again. The one who isn't just a ghost of his former self, chasing another finish line. Her words hung in the air, a profound challenge. My wealth had provided freedom, but it had stripped away my identity. Now, I had to embark on a new journey, far more challenging than building a startup. Rediscovering myself and hopefully, rediscovering us. The heartbreak wasn't just about her pain, but about the terrifying void I now faced. And the realization that the man she had loved had become so lost in his ambition, that even he barely recognized himself. The decision to seek professional help was the first real collaborative step we had taken in what felt like forever. Sarah found a therapist specializing in couples counseling, Dr. Lena Hansen. Our first session was awkward, tense, and filled with a raw honesty that was both painful and surprisingly liberating. Dr. Hansen was a kind, perceptive woman with sharp eyes. She listened patiently as Sarah poured out years of resentment, fear, and the profound hurt of betrayal. Then it was my turn to explain my drive, my fear of failure, my misguided belief that I was protecting her by keeping my ambition secret. Mark, Dr. Hansen said gently during one session, you wanted to build a fortress of financial security for your wife. But in doing so, you built walls between yourselves. I know, I admitted, my voice heavy with regret. I didn't see it at the time. I thought it was temporary. A means to an end. The means to an end became the end itself, didn't it? She observed. Your identity became so intertwined with your work that you lost sight of who you were and who you were doing it for. Sarah nodded, her eyes distant. He's still lost, I think. This freedom, it's like a cage for him. He doesn't know what to do with himself. That stung, but it was true. My days still felt shapeless, empty. I tried new hobbies, went to the gym, volunteered at a local animal shelter. But none of it filled the void that my work had occupied. It was a terrifying realization. I had become addicted to the chase, to the constant striving, and without it, I felt aimless. And for you, Sarah, Dr. Hansen turned to my wife. The wealth represents not freedom, but a constant reminder of what you sacrificed. And the trust that was broken. Sarah nodded again, tears welling in her eyes. It's a golden cage. I have everything, but I feel like I have nothing. Because the person I am sharing it with isn't the person I married. He's a stranger. That hit me hard. A stranger. The words echoed in the quiet room. We spent weeks in therapy, peeling back layers of hurt, anger, and unfulfilled expectations. We talked about our individual needs, our dreams, and how drastically they had diverged during my years of work. Sarah revealed her own buried resentments, not just about my work, but about feeling overlooked in our life choices, about her own suppressed ambitions. I confessed my loneliness, my fear of revealing my vulnerability, even to her. One evening, after a particularly draining session, we were sitting in silence on the couch. The air between us was thick with unspoken thoughts. I've been thinking, Sarah began, her voice soft, tentative, about what Dr. Hansen said, about us being different people now, about whether we can bridge that gap. My heart pounded. This was it. The choice. Was she going to say she couldn't do it? That she wanted to leave? What are you thinking, Sarah? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She took a deep breath. I love you, Mark. I always have. But the man I loved, the man I married, he's not fully here anymore. And the man you've become, the multi-millionaire, the work-obsessed ghost, I don't know if I can build a future with him, or if I even want to. My stomach clenched. This was it. The knife twist. I need to know, she continued, her voice trembling. If you are truly here to stay, if you are truly ready to stop chasing and start living. And if you are ready to let me back in, truly. Not just as a recipient of your wealth, but as your partner, your equal. If you can actually learn to be without the work, without the numbers, without the constant external validation. She looked at me, her eyes clear and full of a painful determination. 'Cause if you are not, Mark, then I don't think we can do this. I don't think I can keep living in this gilded cage, watching you be miserable and us drifting further apart. I am tired of being lonely, even with you in the same room. I am tired of trying to mend something that might be fundamentally broken. My throat was dry. This wasn't about the money. This was about my soul, my identity, my willingness to face the void I had created. I want to, Sarah, I said, the words heavy with desperate sincerity. More than anything. I swear to you, I am terrified, but I want to. I want to learn to be present. I want to learn to be Mark again. The Mark you married. The Mark who dreams with you, not for you. The Mark who shares everything. Then you have to show me, she replied, her voice soft but firm. Not with money, not with grand gestures. With consistency, with presence, with vulnerability, with time. Real time. And honestly, Mark, I don't know if you can, or if I can wait for you to try. The choice hung in the air, a silent ultimatum. My hundreds of millions suddenly felt utterly insignificant. They couldn't buy me out of this. They couldn't guarantee her love or our future. The heartbreak was now mine. A crushing realization of how close I was to losing everything that truly mattered. All because I had chased a dream without stopping to check if the person I loved was still walking beside me. And the truth was, she was standing at a crossroads, and I had no idea which path she would choose. The weight of that uncertainty was far heavier than any fortune. The choice hung heavy in the air. Sarah's ultimatum, phrased as a question, echoed in my mind for days. I tried everything to show her I was serious. I deleted all my professional contacts, cleared my desk of any remnants of my old life, and devoted every moment to being present. I helped her in the garden, painted with her in the studio, even if my efforts were clumsy. I tried to listen, truly listen, to every word she said, but the fear remained, the chasm of secrets and lost time. One morning, I woke up to an empty bed. My heart leaped into my throat. Had she left? Was this it? I rushed downstairs, panic seizing me. She was in the kitchen making coffee, just like any other morning, but her back was to me, and the air felt different, thicker. "Sarah," I said, my voice hoarse. She turned slowly, holding 2 mugs of coffee. Her eyes were red, as if she'd been crying. My stomach dropped. "I spent all night thinking," she said, her voice quiet, steady. "About everything, about us." I braced myself, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. "And," I whispered. She held out a mug to me. I took it, my hand trembling slightly. "I am not going to leave you, Mark," she said, her voice unwavering. "Not yet. But I'm also not going to pretend that everything is fine. Because it's not. It's a mess, and we both made it that way." A wave of dizzying relief washed over me, quickly followed by the crushing weight of her next words. "But I am willing to try," she continued. "Willing to try and build something new. Not fix what was broken, because I don't think we can, but to create something different, something honest from here on out." "Thank you," I choked out, tears stinging my eyes. "Thank you, Sarah. I promise I will do everything." She cut me off, gently. "No promises, Mark. Just action and consistency and honesty. Every single day. Because the trust, it's not gone completely, but it's fragile. Like glass, and it will take a very, very long time to rebuild." She took a deep breath. "And you, Mark, you have to figure out who you are now. You have to find a way to be at peace with yourself, without the chase, without the constant validation of external success. Because if you don't, we'll just end up back here or worse." That was the real heartbreak. Not the loss of her, but the profound realization that my own identity had been so utterly consumed by my work, that I now stood naked, exposed, without a compass. The millions in my bank account felt like a cruel joke, a monument to a life I had almost thrown away. "I know," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I know, and I am going to try, for you, for us, for myself." The silence that followed wasn't suffocating anymore. It was thoughtful. It was a space for new beginnings. We continued therapy. It was a long, arduous process. There were still arguments, still moments of doubt, still days when I felt the restless itch of old habits, or when Sarah would pull back, haunted by the ghost of my past betrayals. Slowly, painstakingly, we began to learn how to communicate honestly, how to be vulnerable, how to simply be together. I started a small personal project, building furniture for our home, something tangible that I could hold in my hands and see the results of. It was a different kind of satisfaction than building a tech empire, but it was a true one. Sarah painted alongside me in the garage, her art finally finding its full expression. 1 year later, we were sitting on the porch of the mountain cabin she'd always dreamed of. It wasn't opulent, just comfortable, nestled amongst the trees. We bought it together, with open discussions about every detail. We watched the sunset, her hand resting in mine. "You know," she said, her voice soft, "I used to hate that job of yours, I really did." I squeezed her hand. "I know. And the money," she continued, "I still have conflicted feelings about it. It's too much, it's a reminder of everything, but it also gives us this." She She gestured around us, at the peaceful cabin, the quiet woods. This space to figure things out, this freedom to be messy and honest. Gave me the space to learn to be Mark again, I said, looking at her, truly seeing her. And to learn to be with you again, without the excuses, without the secrets. She smiled, a genuine, radiant smile that reached her eyes. It's a long road, isn't it? This new beginning. The longest. I agreed, a faint smile on my own lips. But I think we can walk it. Together, this time, truly together. The heartbreaking truth was that the journey had cost us years of our lives. Years of joy, years of trust. The money had come at an almost unbearable price. And even now, the scars remained. We weren't the same couple. We would never be. But perhaps the experience had stripped us down to our rawest selves, forcing us to confront the core of our relationship, and to rebuild it on a foundation of brutal honesty, not just a superficial one of shared dreams. We had lost a part of our past irrevocably, but in its place, we were slowly, carefully, building a new, fragile but fiercely honest future. And that, in its own way, was a kind of victory. A bittersweet, painfully won victory.